8 signs you'll live to 100. The everyday abilities that predict longevity. Did you know that some of the simplest activities you still perform after age 65 might be your strongest indicators of exceptional longevity? It's not extraordinary genetics or expensive supplements that best predict who will reach the century mark. It's everyday abilities that quietly reveal your resilience, strength, and biological vitality. In this comprehensive guide, we'll explore 8 specific markers that suggest you're on a trajectory toward living a longer, healthier life, possibly even to 100. These aren't speculative guesses, but conclusions backed by decades of research on healthy aging. Each indicator reflects core, physiological and cognitive systems that keep you mentally sharp, physically mobile, emotionally engaged, and fully independent well into your later years. While each marker might seem modest when considered individually, together they form a compelling portrait of someone whose mind and body are aging with strength rather than surrender. Someone who might not fully appreciate just how well they're doing until they see these signs laid out before them. Stay with me until the end, because you'll not only discover what these longevity markers are, but why they matter so profoundly and how to preserve them as long as possible. If even 1 or 2 of these signs characterize you, take it as both a source of pride and motivation to continue your positive trajectory. Let's begin our exploration of the 8 everyday abilities that predict extraordinary longevity. 1. The ability to walk for 30 minutes without stopping. One of the clearest, most consistent indicators that your body is aging exceptionally well is your ability to walk for a full 30 minutes without needing to stop. Not racing, not power walking, just steady, purposeful movement. Whether you're strolling through your neighborhood, navigating a shopping center, or simply pacing in your garden, this seemingly simple activity contains tremendous information about your long-term health prospects. Why is walking capacity so significant? Because walking represents far more than basic mobility. It's a comprehensive full-body coordination test. Your cardiovascular system, respiratory function, muscular strength, joint health, balance mechanisms, and even neurological processing must all work harmoniously in real time. For someone over 65 who can walk comfortably for half an hour without experiencing shortness of breath, joint pain, or the need to rest, this isn't merely a sign of adequate health, it's evidence of remarkable biological resilience. Healthcare professionals routinely inquire about patients' walking habits because the answers reveal multidimensional health information, cardiovascular endurance, balance stability, energy reserves, and even cognitive function. Research consistently shows that regular walkers tend to maintain lower blood pressure, better memory retention, healthier blood glucose levels, and more robust immune responses compared to their sedentary counterparts. I once met Jerry, an impressively vital 80-year-old, with the mental sharpness of someone decades younger. His secret? A non-negotiable 30-minute morning walk every single day, regardless of weather conditions. Nothing intense, just a measured loop around his neighborhood that helped him think clearly, sleep soundly, and maintain his sense of self. Jerry had outlived most of his contemporaries not because he pursued artificial youth, but because he remained in consistent, purposeful motion. If walking for 30 minutes currently feels challenging, don't be discouraged. However, do recognize this as valuable feedback. Physical stamina often diminishes gradually, typically before pain or other symptoms manifest. You might find yourself unconsciously taking shorter routes, avoiding stairs, or sitting more frequently than you once did. This is how functional decline typically begins, not with dramatic collapse, but with the subtle contraction of your active world. The encouraging news is that walking capacity can be preserved and even substantially improved at any age through consistency. No specialized equipment or technical expertise is required, just a commitment to regular movement. Every step you take sends a powerful signal to your body. I'm still active, still capable, still engaged with life. If you're someone who currently walks for 30 minutes with relative ease, protect this ability as the precious health asset it truly is. And if you're working toward this benchmark, approach it as a gentle, progressive challenge, a little more distance each day, a few more minutes each week. Every moment you remain ambulatory is another moment. You're keeping your body biologically younger than your chronological age. 2. The ability to remember names, appointments, and daily tasks with ease. If you're over 65 and can still reliably recall names without hesitation, remember appointments without constant reminders, and manage your daily tasks without mental fogginess, you're demonstrating something profoundly significant. Mental acuity at this stage of life isn't merely convenient. It's one of the strongest predictors of longevity, cognitive health, and continued independence. Our brains naturally process information somewhat slower with advancing age, occasionally taking extra moments to retrieve words or reconstruct memories. This normal cognitive aging differs dramatically from what we're discussing here: the sustained ability to retain, organize, and access information dependably over time. When you regularly find yourself saying things like, "Yes, I remember her daughter's name is Sarah," or when you successfully manage your schedule without excessive external supports, you're demonstrating that the neural pathways in your brain remain robustly connected and functionally active. Cognitive resilience at this life stage signifies more than just remembering facts. It represents maintained independence and agency. You're navigating your own life journey, making decisions, solving problems, and remaining mentally engaged with the world around you. This kind of intellectual agility doesn't occur randomly. It typically results from decades of brain protective habits: quality sleep, regular physical activity, balanced nutrition, meaningful social connections, and persistent curiosity about life. There's also a profound psychological benefit that accompanies mental clarity, genuine self-confidence. You trust your cognitive processes. You don't perpetually second-guess yourself. You're not living with constant anxiety about potential memory lapses. This peace of mind provides powerful emotional protection, reduces stress hormone production, and enables fuller enjoyment of your life experiences. Consider Helen, age 77, who maintains her complex schedule with remarkable precision. She remembers birthdays without reminders, coordinates community activities, and still enjoys challenging word games with her husband each evening. Her physician once remarked that she demonstrated the cognitive functionality of someone 20 years younger. This wasn't random good fortune. It reflected Helen's lifelong commitment to mental engagement. She read voraciously, maintained rich social connections, asked thoughtful questions, and approached each day with intellectual openness. Her curiosity served as her most potent cognitive medicine. The scientific reality is that our brains thrive on appropriate challenge. The moment we stop providing mental stimulation, whether through puzzles, creative cooking, meaningful conversations, or learning new skills, neural activity begins to diminish. If you're still remembering details with relative ease, this isn't mere luck. It's evidence of genuine neurological health. If you've noticed minor cognitive changes recently, more frequent name retrieval difficulties, increased reliance on reminders, or occasional time disorientation, understand that decline isn't inevitable. The adult brain maintains impressive neuroplasticity. New neural pathways can still develop, and cognitive patterns can be reconfigured. However, this process requires conscious awareness and deliberate mental engagement. For those who maintain sharp memory and navigate daily life with mental clarity, nurture these capacities. Challenge your mind regularly. Expose yourself to novel experiences. A brain that remains alert and engaged during your later years isn't simply a functional tool. It's one of life's greatest gifts, and frequently a powerful indicator that your path ahead may extend further than you might imagine. 3. The ability to get up from a chair or the floor without using your hands. There's remarkable significance in being able to rise from a seated position, whether from a chair or even the floor, without needing to push off with your hands. While this might seem inconsequential, this simple movement pattern contains extraordinary information about your functional health, mobility, potential, and independence prospects beyond age 65. Why does this specific ability matter so profoundly? Standing up without using your arms requires integrated strength across multiple systems, powerful leg muscles, particularly quadriceps and hamstrings, solid core stability, balanced weight distribution, and sophisticated neurological coordination. These precise elements form the foundation for preventing falls, maintaining movement confidence, and preserving the physical freedom that makes daily life manageable and dignified. Consider what this ability represents. When you can stand up smoothly from your sofa, exit a vehicle independently, or recover from the floor after retrieving a dropped item, you're demonstrating that you're body still functions as an integrated responsive system. More critically, it confirms that your lower body maintains functional strength, a factor numerous studies identify as among the strongest predictors of longevity and fall prevention in older adults. Falls represent far more than momentary accidents. For many seniors, a single serious fall initiates a devastating cascade: physical injuries, hospital admissions, reduced mobility confidence, progressive movement avoidance, and accelerating functional decline. This explains why the seemingly simple ability to rise without assistance carries such prognostic weight. It's not merely convenient, but reflects how effectively your musculoskeletal system is resisting age-related deterioration. Consider Frank, age 75, who never embraced formal exercise programs, but maintained one non-negotiable daily practice: lowering himself to his living room floor, performing a few gentle stretches, and then standing back up, all without using his hands for support. When he mentioned this routine during a physical therapy consultation, the specialist remarked, "You're outperforming most people a decade younger." This reflects an important reality. The ability to rise from floor level is something many people lose progressively without recognizing the deficit until they suddenly discover they can no longer perform this basic movement. The encouraging news is that this capability remains trainable throughout life. If you've noticed increased reliance on your arms when standing or requiring greater effort to push yourself from seated positions, this doesn't represent irreversible decline. It simply means your body is signaling for support. Even basic interventions like chair squats, supported leg raises, or seated strengthening exercises can substantially restore lower body strength and movement coordination. What matters most isn't whether you've experienced some slowing, it's whether you maintain the fundamental ability to lift yourself with control. This movement capacity represents more than mere muscle function. It embodies physical autonomy. Rising independently means you're not relying on others for fundamental mobility. It confirms that your nervous system, brain, and musculature continue effective communication and coordination. If you can stand without using your hands, acknowledge this as a significant achievement reflecting strength, resilience, and preserved physical capability. This isn't something to take for granted. It demonstrates your body's continued readiness for active living. Because when rising becomes challenging, your physical world often begins contracting in parallel. Protecting and maintaining this fundamental movement pattern can substantially extend your functional independence. 4. The ability to sleep through the night and wake feeling refreshed. One of the most underappreciated markers of healthy aging, often overlooked in discussions of longevity, is sleep quality. If you're beyond 65 and still fall asleep relatively easily, maintain sleep continuity through the night, and wake feeling genuinely refreshed, you're demonstrating something that many people your age silently struggle to achieve. Why does sleep matter so profoundly for longevity? Quality sleep isn't merely about daytime alertness. It represents a complex physiological restoration process. During deep sleep phases, your brain conducts essential maintenance, clearing metabolic waste products, consolidating memory formations, and repairing neural connections. Simultaneously, your cardiovascular system experiences reduced workload as heart rate and blood pressure naturally decrease, while your endocrine system releases growth hormone that supports cellular repair throughout your body. For older adults, this nightly restoration becomes increasingly crucial because aging bodies require more intensive maintenance. Your immune function, cognitive processing, metabolic regulation, and emotional balance all fundamentally depend on sufficient high-quality sleep. When sleep architecture deteriorates, nearly everything else follows suit. Research consistently demonstrates that people with disrupted sleep patterns show accelerated difficulties with memory formation, emotional regulation, blood glucose control, and even physical coordination. Poor sleep quality correlates with substantially increased risks of stroke, depression, weight dysregulation, and dementia progression. Perhaps most concerning, many seniors incorrectly assume that deteriorating sleep is simply an inevitable aspect of aging rather than a modifiable health factor. Consider Carol's experience at age 79. She had resigned herself to waking 4 or 5 times nightly, believing this fragmented sleep pattern was normal for her age group. "Everyone my age experiences this," she insisted. However, when she eventually discussed these difficulties with her physician, simple diagnostic assessments revealed treatable factors. mild iron deficiency and chronic dehydration. After implementing targeted interventions, increased fluid consumption earlier in the day, iron-rich evening snacks, and consistent bedtime scheduling, her sleep quality improved dramatically. "It feels like my entire world has expanded," she later reported. Sleep quality is appropriately called the foundation of health for good reason. You might maintain excellent nutrition, regular physical activity, and meaningful social connections, but when sleep deteriorates, the benefits of these positive habits diminish significantly. Furthermore, simply being unconscious differs fundamentally from experiencing truly restorative sleep. If you consistently wake, feeling fatigued despite adequate time in bed, you're experiencing unconsciousness without proper restoration. If you still maintain sleep continuity through the night and wake with sufficient energy for daily activities, recognize this as significant evidence that your internal regulatory systems, hormonal, balance, autonomic nervous function, and stress response mechanisms remain well synchronized. This integrated physiological harmony becomes increasingly challenging to maintain with advancing age and often deteriorates before more obvious symptoms emerge. For those experiencing suboptimal sleep, avoid resignation. Numerous factors influence sleep quality: bedroom temperature, environmental light exposure, medication timing, nutritional patterns, and activity scheduling. Most critically, recognize that sleep represents one of your body's most metabolically active processes. Not simply passive rest, but active biological restoration. Consistent, high-quality sleep isn't a luxury, but a vital sign of physiological health. When your body maintains the ability to cycle appropriately through sleep stages, remain restful throughout the night, and effectively rebuild cellular resources, this demonstrates remarkable systemic harmony. This kind of integrated function strongly suggests your biological systems remain calibrated for extended healthy function. One of the most reliable indicators that you're physiologically equipped for exceptional longevity. 5. The ability to maintain meaningful relationships and social connections. If you're beyond 65 and still actively maintain friendships, regularly communicate with family members, or consistently engage with people who bring meaning to your life, you're demonstrating something profoundly significant that many underestimate. Social connection isn't merely emotionally comforting. In later life, it's a biological necessity, intimately linked with longevity outcomes. Research increasingly confirms that consistent social engagement influences health outcomes as powerfully as physical activity or dietary patterns. Chronic loneliness correlates with dramatically increased risks of cardiovascular disease, depressive disorders, immunological dysfunction, and premature mortality. Conversely, genuine connection provides measurable protection against these same risks, preserving cognitive function, emotional stability, and physiological resilience. What makes social relationships so powerfully protective? They provide something no pharmaceutical, intervention, or nutritional supplement can replicate: existential purpose. Meaningful connections give us reasons to remain engaged with life, motivation for laughter, conversation, shared experiences, and mutual support. This sense of being valued, needed, and meaningfully connected nourishes us not just emotionally, but at fundamental biological levels. Consider Robert, age 82. Following his wife's passing, he lived independently but maintained an unwavering weekly commitment, meeting a small group of longtime friends at a local restaurant. Their conversations covered familiar territory, often repeating stories they'd shared countless times, yet Robert described this simple weekly ritual as medicine without a prescription. His intuitive understanding aligns perfectly with scientific evidence. Social interaction directly modulates stress, hormone levels, improves cerebral blood flow, enhances sleep quality, and when interactions involve trusted relationships, your body responds with reduced inflammatory markers and improved immune regulation. Importantly, even modest social engagement produces meaningful benefits. A brief telephone conversation, occasional shared meals, or neighborly visits all contribute to this protective effect. The critical factor isn't social volume, but connection quality. You don't need extensive social networks. You need meaningful engagement. Isolation manifests in various ways beyond physical solitude. Going days without substantive conversation, lacking trusted confidence, or experiencing emotional disconnection despite physical proximity. These subtle forms of social isolation can erode health through invisible but Powerful pathways. If you maintain active friendships, regularly check on others, or find genuine joy in conversation, recognize that you're not simply being sociable. You're actively protecting your mind and body from the cumulative wear of social disconnection. For those experiencing contracted social circles or increased solitude, understand that it's never too late to rebuild connection. Even small steps matter: joining community groups, reconnecting with old friends, accepting social invitations you might normally decline, or exploring new interest-based activities. Even a single meaningful exchange daily can profoundly influence your social trajectory. Humans evolved as fundamentally social creatures. We literally require connection for optimal functioning. When you actively nurture relationships beyond age 65, you're doing something evolutionarily aligned with our species' deepest biological needs. You're choosing life engagement in perhaps the most quintessentially human way possible, through connection with others. 6. The ability to prepare and enjoy nutritious meals independently. If you're over 65 and still independently prepare meals, thoughtfully select ingredients, cook with intentionality, and take genuine pleasure in what you've created, you're demonstrating something far more significant than basic self-sufficiency. You're exhibiting one of the most reliable and underappreciated markers of long-term vitality daily. Nutritional independence grounded in awareness, discipline, and personal dignity. Food preparation may appear mundane, but it's actually a remarkably complex skill set integrating multiple functional domains: advanced planning, physical mobility, balance maintenance, sequential memory, and purposeful activity. When you independently manage your nutrition, you're actively choosing what your body needs, safely navigating your kitchen environment, coordinating ingredient, timing, managing heat sources, and making countless micro-decisions. This integrated activity demonstrates continued harmony between cognitive function and physical capability. Beyond these practical aspects, your ability to prepare and enjoy your own meals reveals something deeper: that you still fundamentally value your health and remain actively engaged with daily living. You're not passively accepting whatever's convenient, but consciously investing in nutritional quality, sensory pleasure, and ultimately, your future well-being. Consider Lorraine, age 85, who prepared breakfast every morning without exception: eggs, whole grain toast, fresh fruit, and coffee precisely calibrated to her preference. "This is how I maintain my identity," she explained. When her well-meaning son offered to simplify her routine with pre-prepared, frozen meals, she gently declined. That's the first step towards surrender. For Lorraine, food preparation transcended mere sustenance. It represented continued autonomy and self-determination. The specific foods you prepare and enjoy also provide valuable information about your aging trajectory. When older adults consistently incorporate leafy greens, colorful vegetables, quality proteins, healthy fats, and whole grains into their meals, they're actively managing inflammation, preserving muscle mass, supporting cognitive function, and protecting cardiovascular health. Conversely, when eating patterns deteriorate, becoming irregular, heavily processed, or nutritionally imbalanced, this often represents one of the earliest detectable signs of broader decline. This correlation exists because food preparation requires something fundamental: energy. When someone begins experiencing diminished vitality or interest, these changes frequently manifest first in kitchen habits. Meal planning becomes sporadic. Nutritious cooking gives way to convenient snacking, and refrigerator contents gradually diminish. These subtle shifts often whisper what medical symptoms will eventually confirm more loudly. If you still find genuine satisfaction in preparing and savoring nutritious meals, recognize this as worthy of celebration. This daily practice demonstrates continued engagement with your well-being, a mindset extending far beyond mere nutrition. However, if cooking increasingly feels burdensome or you find yourself regularly skipping meals, consider this an invitation for self-assessment. Is fatigue, mood disturbance, or appetite suppression contributing to this change? Sometimes modest interventions, shared meal preparation, exploring new recipes, or visiting local farmers markets can rekindle nutritional motivation. Food represents far more than biological fuel. It embodies memory, cultural rhythm, sensory pleasure, and self-care. When you continue creating nourishing meals for yourself beyond age 65, you're maintaining connection with something profoundly life-affirming. The belief that your health remains worth investing in, one thoughtful meal at a time. 7. The ability to handle your own finances and medications without confusion. If you're over 65 and successfully manage your financial affairs, banking relationships, and medication regimens without requiring oversight or correction, you're demonstrating something truly remarkable. This form of administrative self-management reflects powerful cognitive capacity and daily responsibility, serving as a significant predictor of continued independence and longevity potential. Financial management extends far beyond basic transactions. It involves complex memory utilization, logical reasoning, detail orientation, and forward planning. Successfully handling financial matters requires tracking payment schedules, comprehending statements, identifying discrepancies, avoiding fraudulent schemes, and maintaining organizational systems. This represents executive function in action, your prefrontal cortex operating at sophisticated levels, with remarkable consistency and effectiveness. Medication management carries even greater significance. Properly administering prescription medications, understanding dosages, timing requirements, potential interactions, and monitoring outcomes without missing doses or committing errors requires exceptional attention and systematic discipline. Medication errors represent one of the leading causes of preventable hospitalizations among older adults. Consequently, the ability to manage complex medication regimens independently isn't merely convenient. It's a critical health protection mechanism. Both these domains ultimately reflect something fundamental: decision-making capacity. When you consistently make clear, timely, and informed judgments about your finances and health, you're actively preserving your autonomy on a daily basis. This cognitive skill, often taken for granted, typically shows early deterioration when cognitive decline begins. I recall Henry, age 78, who meticulously tracked all expenses on handwritten ledgers, balanced accounts weekly, and systematically reviewed his medication protocols monthly. When his concerned daughter offered to assume financial management responsibilities, he respectfully declined. "Not yet. I need to keep my mind engaged." His intuition perfectly aligned with neurological research. This type of detailed attention maintains active neural pathways, reinforces cognitive confidence, and preserves personal agency. If you've noticed minor lapses recently, occasional missed payments, medication confusion, or increased reliance on organizational assistance approach these changes with curiosity rather than concern. Sometimes modest adjustments to daily routines can substantially protect against escalating risks. Automated payment systems, specialized medication organizers, simplified calendar systems. These supports represent tools rather than concessions, adaptive strategies that maintain your fundamental control. What matters most is continued awareness and involvement. When someone disengages from financial and medical self-management, they inevitably transfer control to others. While assistance sometimes becomes necessary, maintaining direction over your personal affairs remains intimately connected with self-respect and fundamental autonomy. If you continue managing these complex aspects of life without significant difficulty, recognize this as extraordinary evidence of cognitive vitality. Your mind remains sharp, your organizational systems remain effective, and your life remains under your personal command. One of the most powerful predictors of maintained independence and exceptional longevity. 8. The ability to wake each day with purpose and curiosity. If you're beyond age 65 and still consistently wake each morning with meaningful direction, something that motivates your day, creates anticipation, matters deeply to you, and provides reason to engage with life, you possess something profoundly precious. This internal sense of purpose isn't merely emotionally satisfying. Research identifies it as among the most powerful predictors of exceptional longevity currently known. Purpose provides more than pleasant feelings. It functions as fundamental biological fuel. It maintains cognitive alertness, emotional engagement, and physical willingness to participate actively in life. Having genuine purpose doesn't require grand ambitions or formal employment. It might involve tending gardens, caring for pets, maintaining journals, participating in community service, connecting with family, assisting neighbors, or pursuing knowledge simply because it fascinates you. The essential quality is that internal spark whispering, "I have meaningful reasons to be active today," creating structure, direction, and authentic joy. Research consistently demonstrates that individuals who maintain clear reasons for waking each morning, regardless how modest these purposes might appear, externally tend to live significantly longer, experience fewer illnesses, and recover more effectively when health challenges arise. This correlation isn't mysterious, but reflects practical reality. Purposeful individuals typically maintain higher activity levels, stronger social connections, and more consistent self-care practices. Their bodies respond to this engagement by maintaining physiological resilience. Consider Ruth, age 84, who created handcrafted greeting cards for every birthday celebrated within her faith community. It seems trivial, she acknowledged, but it brings people genuine happiness. What Ruth might not have recognized is how this seemingly simple practice simultaneously strengthened her fine motor coordination, maintained her memory function, reinforced her social connectedness, and provided her heart with profound belonging, all through one modest weekly ritual. Conversely, when individuals lose their sense of purpose, decline often accelerates noticeably. Days feel increasingly burdensome, energy reserves diminish, conversations lose vitality, and future possibilities seem progressively limited. This explains why some people experience dramatically accelerated aging following retirement or significant loss. They've lost not just occupational identity or beloved companions, but fundamental directional meaning. The remarkable reality is that purpose remains endlessly renewable at any life stage. The essential requirement isn't external validation or impressive scope, but personal significance, something meaningful enough that you genuinely wish to experience it again tomorrow. If you maintain authentic curiosity, learning motivation, contributory impulses, or growth orientation, you're demonstrating extraordinary spiritual vitality. This doesn't merely reflect psychological strength, but indicates neurological flexibility, emotional resilience, and continued willingness to fully participate in life. In many ways, this represents the clearest indicator that you're not simply aging, you're continuing to evolve, develop, and meaningfully engage with existence. If you wake each morning with genuine anticipation for what the day holds, recognize this as precious evidence of your continued vitality and powerful protection against premature decline. Conclusion: the integrated picture of exceptional longevity. Now that we've explored these 8 critical markers, how many do you recognize in yourself? Perhaps several indicators resonated immediately. Maybe you identified with more than you initially expected. Whatever your personal assessment, take time to genuinely appreciate what this reveals, because if you're beyond age 65 and still maintain these functional capacities, this isn't coincidental good fortune, but evidence of remarkable biological resilience. These aren't arbitrary conveniences, but powerful predictors of extended lifespan, maintained independence, and continued quality of life. Each marker reflects integrated systems working harmoniously: cardiovascular health, muscular integrity, neurological function, psychological well-being, and established life habits. When these elements function cohesively, this creates the precise biological symphony that extends not just chronological existence, but vibrant living experience. Naturally, few individuals will demonstrate every indicator. This assessment isn't designed as an evaluation, but as an informative roadmap highlighting what matters most for exceptional longevity and what remains within your influence. Many of these capacities can be substantially restored, strengthened, or improved through consistent attention and graduated progression. The most important insight is perhaps this: extraordinary longevity doesn't primarily involve disease avoidance, but active life participation. The central factors are movement capacity, cognitive preservation, purposeful engagement, meaningful connection, and fundamental self-efficacy. If you maintain even several of these markers, you're already navigating a trajectory toward extended vitality that exceeds population averages. What would most benefit your longevity journey? Which indicator would you most value improving this year? Your thoughtful engagement with these questions may influence not just the quantity of your remaining years, but their fundamental quality and meaning. Thank you for exploring these longevity markers. We welcome your perspectives. Please share which indicators you currently maintain and which you find most motivating for focused attention. Your experiences provide valuable insights that may inspire others on similar journeys. If you found this information valuable, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit from Understanding these powerful predictors of exceptional longevity, your support enables us to continue creating evidence-based content that informs and inspires healthy aging.